Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The planet Xelon seemed to shimmer under the relentless rays of a massive sun, the harsh light reflecting off the golden dunes and encompassing the land in an almost heavenly glow. However, the beauty of this alien world concealed its brutal reality, a reality dictated by temperatures that could melt rock and a sun that seemed to scorch any life that dared to exist under its gaze. Lydia, the lone human scientist on this mission, trudged through the swirling sands of Xelon, her equipment trailing behind her. She was part of a small team, eager to study the rich ecosystem of this planet and document the extraordinary species that called it home. As she adjusted her heavily insulated suit, she felt both excitement and trepidation wash over her. While her colleagues were busy cataloging plant life and adapting to the alien environment, Lydia had taken it upon herself to focus on the indigenous life forms, specifically the Zephyrians, an enigmatic species that had evolved to survive in an environment fraught with danger. These beings were striking. Their skin shimmered in hues that mirrored the desert landscape, gold, azure, and deep emerald, creating a stunning display that turned them into living works of art. Lydia pored over her notes, fascinated by their biology. Yet, what intrigued her the most were the whispers of their extraordinary abilities, how they harnessed energy from the sun and, under specific conditions, could become even more powerful. But today, something felt distinctly off. At the research base, a palpable tension filled the air as scientists tracked the solar activity. Everyone's eyes were glued to the monitors displaying erratic spikes. A solar flare was imminent. The announcement echoed through the comms, warning every team to return to the safety of the base. Lydia quickened her pace, her thoughts racing back to Kaelin. She hadn't met a Zephyrian who could communicate with her in person yet, but their reports indicated that some had been following her team's explorations with great interest. An ember of curiosity flickered within her. What would the meeting be like? As she neared the base, the skies above began to darken, and the atmosphere became charged with energy. Lydia's heart pounded with both anticipation and dread. Before she could reach the doors of safety, a blinding flash illuminated the landscape. Without warning, the solar flare struck. It was like the very air had split open, unleashing a wave of heat and force. Lydia stumbled and fell, the world around her warping in a haze of light and sound. Coughing, she raised her head and saw figures struggling in the distance. Kaelin was among them, his radiant skin seeming dull against the chaos erupting around him. He was trying to help others, his strong frame battling against the solar winds that swirled with fury. And then he crumpled to the ground, a staggering impact that sent a shockwave through Lydia's chest. "Kaelin!" she screamed, pushing herself off the ground and racing toward him. Panic and desperation clawed at her heart as she reached his side. He lay there, breathless and pale, the brilliance of his skin fading under the sun's relentless wrath. "I need to get you out of the sun," she murmured, trying to grasp his arm, but he grimaced and pushed her away slightly, his eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and fear. "No, Lydia, the solar flare," he gasped, staring at her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "I can help you," she replied. "Just hold on, please." Their connection was forged in urgency and fear as the world around them teetered on the brink of chaos. In that moment, Lydia understood. It wasn't just science that had brought her here. It was their shared struggle to survive in a world where values of love, life, and connection hung precariously in the balance. Lydia could feel the raging heat despite the protective fabric of her suit. It wasn't just the intense sunlight or the panic of the situation. It was the adrenaline coursing through her veins as she knelt beside Kaelin. His breathing was labored, each gasp a reminder of the urgency of their plight. She had heard stories of how the Zephyrians drew strength from solar energy, but witnessing the truth was something else entirely. "Let me help you," she insisted once more, struggling to focus on what she could do instead of what was happening around them. She could see the panic in Kaelin's eyes, and it only fueled her determination. Kaelin shook his head weakly, clearly fighting against the forces that sought to drag him into unconsciousness. "You don't understand. If I stay in the sun, it will burn me away," he rasped, those words heavy with an undertone of dread. "What can I do?" she pleaded. I can shield you. I just need you to stay awake." She quickly scanned their surroundings. The nearest shelter was too far, but they were near a rocky outcrop that could provide some cover if they could reach it together. Lydia grabbed Kalen's arm, trying to pull him up. Panic surged within her as she sensed the fading energy surrounding him. "Trust me," she urged, fear and resolve intertwining in her voice. With a strained nod, Kalen allowed her to help him to his feet. He leaned into her, his body leaning on her for support. The world shifted and swayed, as if both bodies and Earth were caught in the storm of the solar flare's power. They stumbled toward the rocky outcrop, and as they reached the edge, Lydia managed to push Kalen behind a ledge that offered some protection from the sun's searing rays. They both collapsed against the rock, panting heavily. Kalen's vibrant skin had dulled, and the severity of his condition began to sink in as Lydia examined him closely. "Please, tell me what to do," she said, her voice trembling. "How can I save you?" Kalen's eyes flared with a strange intensity, and for a moment, the weariness was replaced with fierce determination. "You must understand, my people are able to absorb energy through intimacy, through a ritual that binds us. It's essential for my survival." Lydia's breath caught in her throat. She felt a flush rise to her cheeks. This conversation was crossing boundaries, and she wasn't sure how to respond. But beneath the confusion lay an undeniable connection, a burgeoning bond that had formed amid the chaos. I don't know that I can do that," she stammered, feeling vulnerable and exposed. "I'm human, Kalen." "Exactly," he replied, his voice firm despite his weakness. "Only a human's touch can save me. You feel it too, don't you? The energy between us?" Their gazes locked, and Lydia could feel the spark of that energy, a bond created not just by fear, but by mutual respect and understanding. Time seemed to stretch as Kalen's breath steadied, though the urgency remained palpable. "What if it goes wrong?" she whispered, doubt creeping in. "What if it changes everything?" Kalen offered her a small, reassuring smile, though it was tinged with pain. "It could change everything, but it could also save us both. You need to trust in this connection, Lydia. My life, our lives, depend on it." Despite the shadows of uncertainty, Lydia felt an overwhelming pull toward Kalen. It was as if he had become the anchor in the chaotic sea of the world around them, and the thought of losing him ignited a fire within her. She nodded slowly, determination hardening her resolve. "Okay," she said finally, her voice steadier. "I'll do it, but you have to guide me." Kalen's gaze softened, relief flooding his features. "Together, then, we'll become stronger." As the solar flare continued to wreak havoc outside, they settled into the quiet space between them, an atmosphere thick with both potential and risk. The coming ritual would be a testament to their strength, their connection, and their willingness to defy the odds that sought to separate them. The storm raged outside, the sun's ferocity churning the air around them, but within their small haven of the rocky outcrop, an unexpected calm settled over Lydia and Kalen. With the immediate danger temporarily averted, Lydia felt several emotions swirling within her: fear, confusion, but also an undeniable connection to the Zephyrian before her. "Tell me what I need to do," she said softly, her focus trained on Kalen. She could see the lingering pain in his features, but there was also something else, something deeper that glimmered in his wide, expressive eyes. Kalen inhaled sharply, trying to find the strength to explain the archaic ritual that had been both revered and feared among his people. "It's not just about physical contact," he began, his voice steadying as he adjusted himself to face her more directly. "It's about merging our essences, creating a bond that is more than mere flesh." Lydia focused intently, biting her lip as she listened to him explain. "To do this, we must be completely open to each other. We will share our energies, our vulnerabilities. It's an experience unlike anything you know, strictly an act of survival for me, Yet, she prompted, feeling intrigued and drawn closer to him as he hesitated. "Yet, it's also a beautiful expression of trust, of recognition of our differences," he continued, a flicker of warmth lighting his eyes. "It signifies that two worlds can come together to create something new and powerful." Lydia took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I've never done anything like this before," she admitted, her heart racing. But if it's what you need, it is more than what I need, Kalen replied, his gaze unwavering. It is what will connect us, spark a force that will restore me. As he spoke, Lydia felt the weight of his words settle within her, a depth of intimacy that frightened and enthralled her. Could she really do this? Let's take it step by step, she suggested, grounding herself and attempting to quell her racing thoughts. How do we start? Kalen nodded appreciatively, his expression easing into a smile that brought warmth to the cold rock surrounding them. First, we need to trust each other fully. I will feel your energy, and you will feel mine. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. She hesitated for a moment before extending her hands toward him. Okay, show me. Kalen grasped her hands, his touch electric as their skin made contact. A jolt of warmth surged through Lydia, igniting something deep within her. She looked into his eyes, searching for reassurance. Close your eyes, he instructed gently. Let go of your fears, feel the connection between us. With a deep breath, she obeyed, closing her eyes and focusing on the sensation of their hands clasped together. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. A melding of two worlds became tangible, a flow of energy that pulsed between them like an unseen thread. Feel my essence, Kalen whispered, his voice echoing through her consciousness. Let it guide you. Lydia let out a shuddering breath as images flooded her mind. She saw flashes of the Zephyrian landscape, lush valleys sprinkled with bioluminescent plants, eternal sunsets that painted the sky in hues she had never seen, and the warmth of the sun contrasting against the cool winds of twilight. Amidst the scenes, she felt Kalen's emotions, a mix of hope and vulnerability. It was intimate, exposing the fears that plagued him, doubts about his worth, the pressure of being a leader in a time of crisis, and the lingering fear of losing everything he loved to the unforgiving sun. She felt an overwhelming urge to comfort him, to restore his strength. You're not alone, she murmured, her voice barely a whisper in the connection they shared. I'm here for you. In response, Kalen tightened his grip on her hands, and she sensed a shift in the energy, an acknowledgement, acceptance, before he began to reveal pieces of himself in return. She saw his joyful memories, the laughter of his kin, the song of their people as they danced under the night sky, bathed in moonlight. The intimacy of it all brought tears to her eyes. Lydia blinked them away, feeling both grateful and exhilarated. In that moment, they weren't just from different worlds. They were connected through experiences, emotions, and the courage to embrace their differences. As the sun's flare continued its onslaught outside, that connection became the only thing that mattered. It surged with promise, wrapping around them as they began to unearth more profound truths about each other. Strength woven in vulnerability, trust forged through fear. Each pulse of energy between them bolstered their resolve, drawing them closer as they prepared for the ritual that would bind them together, one that might redefine the very fabric of their existence. Are you ready? Kalen's voice broke through the layers of magic surrounding them, and Lydia opened her eyes, meeting his gaze. Together, she affirmed, determination settling into her bones. Together, he echoed, and with those words, they set forth on a journey that would irrevocably intertwine their fates. Silence enveloped the rocky outcrop as Lydia and Kalen faced each other, an air of anticipation thickening the space between them. The harsh energy from the ongoing solar flare continued to reverberate throughout the landscape. Yet here, amidst the chaos, a sanctuary had formed, a sacred space infused with the connection they had cultivated. Let's begin, Kalen said, his tone both commanding and soft, as if aware of the gravity of the moment. With their hands still intertwined, he guided her further into the rocky enclave. The narrow shelter provided them a reprieve from the brutal light, casting elongated shadows across the sand. Tell me more about the ritual, Lydia prompted, anxious to absorb every detail that would help them navigate this uncharted territory. Kalen nodded, his expression grave but determined. The connection between us must be established without reservation. We will share our life energies, pouring ourselves into one another for a brief moment, allowing our essences to merge. It must be done flawlessly to ensure our survival. Feeling the weight of his words, She swallowed hard. And if something goes wrong? His gaze never wavered, filled with fierce intensity. It won't, but we must surrender completely. Fear and doubt could weaken the bond and leave me vulnerable. You must trust not just in me, but in yourself. I trust you, she replied, finding strength in his words. We've already shared so much kindness, vulnerability. A faint smile played on his lips. We must ignite that spark further, but it will require more than words. As they settled into the moment, Lydia felt her heart race. They moved together, mirroring each other's movements as they stood face to face. She tried to calm the storm within her, focusing on Kalen, on the beauty of his alien form, on the strength that radiated from him. Close your eyes again, he instructed, his voice a low whisper. Imagine a warm light growing between us, a vortex of energy that will bind us together. Lydia inhaled deeply, obeying his words as images danced behind her closed eyelids. She imagined a swirling vortex, a radiant pool of light that swelled to encompass them both. She felt the heat radiating, drawing her closer to Kalen, grounding her on this alien planet that had become more familiar each moment. Now, pour your essence into the light, Kalen urged, his voice guiding her further into the depths of their connection. Feel the bond strengthen. She concentrated on her life force, the essence of who she was, the memories, the laughter, the hopes that had brought her to this alien world. With every breath, she sent those energies into the growing light, channeling everything she had. Good, he murmured, feeling her pull. Now let me share mine. Kalen's presence shifted, and she felt him reach into the depths of his core, an unwavering energy that poured into the shared light, more vivid and potent than she had anticipated. His essence swirled with vibrant colors, merging seamlessly with hers, igniting a connection that felt both foreign and achingly familiar. The energy pulsated around them, growing denser with every heartbeat. Lydia's body tingled and vibrated as the light expanded, creating a cocoon that protected them from the inferno outside. The boundaries of her consciousness began to blur, and she realized she was no longer simply sharing energy. She sensed Kalen's thoughts, his fears, and his dreams. Images flooded her mind, visions of Zephyria's lush hills, vibrant ceremonies under the stars, and the shared laughter of his people. Each moment resonated within her, fusing their worlds, and Lydia felt an overwhelming wave of feelings rush through her. Joy intertwined with sadness as she understood what was at stake for him. Everything he cherished was threatened by the sun's fury. But even amid the flood of emotions, a spark of doubt flickered. Would this intimacy be fleeting? Would they awaken not as two, but as something entirely new, forever altered, stripped of their old identities? Kalen must have sensed her hesitation, for he moved closer, his breath mingling with hers. Trust, Lydia. Let go of what you fear, and embrace what can be. In that moment, she surrendered to the current enveloping them. Waves of warmth cascaded through her, washing away fear and replacing it with hope. With renewed determination, she opened herself to the ritual. Together, they pushed their essences further into the light, and suddenly, a rush of energy surged through them like wildfire. Lydia gasped as the vortex erupted, enveloping everything in an incandescent glow. It was no longer just her essence. It was theirs, combined, resonating in perfect harmony. Time blurred as they rode the surge of energy, the intensity building until it became an ecstatic force that broke through barriers they hadn't even known existed. In that climactic moment, their souls intertwined, every fear, every dream merging, a tapestry of two worlds that harmonized in breathtaking beauty. Then, as quickly as it began, the energy peaked. The strain and tension reached a fever pitch, and Lydia, overcome by the exhilarating connection, felt herself slip into a haze of existence where nothing else mattered but their union. Together, they breathed in unison, intertwining their essences, forging a bond that pulsed with life. And as the sun roared outside, they became one, defying the odds and embracing the vastness of love and connection that transcended species and worlds. The blinding light engulfed them, a swirling symphony of energy that marked the sacred moment of their union. Lydia felt a powerful surge, as if they were transcending their physical forms, human and Zephyrian, into something entirely new. As their essences intertwined, she became acutely aware of the intimate nature of their connection. It wasn't merely an act of survival. It was a melding of their beings, a profound mating that went beyond bone and flesh, tying their hearts and souls inexorably together. Waves of passion and warmth crashed over her, sending shivers of ecstasy rippling through her body. Every gasp, every heartbeat resonated with the rhythm of Kalen's being, creating a pulse that echoed through their bond. Together, they whispered in unison, the word reverberating through the light that encased them. It was a promise, a declaration of unity amidst the chaos, and an affirmation of their love that would redefine both of their lives. Time seemed to dissipate as the world around them faded. In this transcendent space, Lydia felt her fears diminish, washed away by the warmth of Kalen's essence. It filled her with strength, breathing life into both of them. She saw visions of the future, shared experiences, the laughter of their kin, and the potential for harmony between humans and Zephyrians that extended beyond mere survival. Suddenly, the connection reached its zenith, that ultimate climax overwhelming them like the sun's rays that flickered uncontrollably outside, but instead of destruction, it filled them with rejuvenation. They surrendered completely, merging their energies until the very light that enveloped them became a powerful beacon that pierced through the storm of a solar flare, radiating warmth and strength into the universe. As the connection began to subside, the world around them slowly came back into focus. Kalen and Lydia opened their eyes simultaneously, breathing heavily but filled with a sense of renewed vigor. She could see it in his eyes, the brilliant colors of his essence now infused with threads of her own, a beautiful testament to their union. Kalen placed a hand on her cheek, the warmth of his touch enveloping her with assurance. "You have saved me. Together, we have transformed the very fabric of our lives." Lydia smiled, a sense of belonging knitting its way into her heart. "And we will continue to transform the lives around us. This is just the beginning." With a shared glance, they stepped out from their rocky enclave, greeted by the aftermath of the solar flare. The once blazing sun had become a brilliant orb in the sky, still formidable, but now softened, as if acknowledging their defiance. In that moment, they knew the hardships faced by Kalen's people would not vanish overnight, but they possessed a new strength forged through their connection. As they stood hand in hand, the warmth enveloping them was more than just the aftermath of the flare. It was a promise of hope for their future. "We will return to your people," Kalen said, his voice steady with resolve. "Together, we can help them understand that coexistence is not only possible but essential." "Let's share our knowledge and experiences," Lydia responded, boldness surging within her. "We can bridge our cultures, show them the power of unity." As they made their way back to the Zephyrian community, they felt lightness in their steps, each heartbeat resonating with the promise of a new dawn. The life energies they shared transcended species, becoming a catalyst for change. No longer would they simply be representatives of their worlds. They would become joint ambassadors, carving out a future that embraced both humankind and the Zephyrians. Together, they faced the horizon, their future coiled before them like an uncharted tapestry, stitched together with love, strength, and the power of their bond. The sun shone brilliantly on the planet of Zelon, warming the sand beneath their feet as they walked forward, hand in hand, toward a destiny that awaited them both, a destiny that would redefine their history and illuminate the path for generations to come.